Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, January 13th, and I'm taking my class back to the transformation room today. If you've been following along for a while, then you know my school has a transformation room that every teacher in the school gets to use. They set it up 4 times a year. The current theme is Winter Wonderland. I have already taken my class once, back in December for a science lesson, but today I'm taking them back for a math lesson. I'm gonna share all the details with you. I'm also gonna give you the resources that I created for it for free. I'm gonna talk about how you could easily recreate this in your own classroom without having the full transformation room. So let's jump into it. Y'all, I just love going to the transformation room. It makes me that much more excited to teach the lesson, and I feel like when you're excited to teach a lesson, your students get excited to learn it regardless of what it is, and I can't wait. So, rather than taking you on another tour of the room, I'm just gonna reference my old video because it looks exactly the same. They set up the room 4 times throughout the year, and it stays that way for 2 to 3 months. And teachers have the opportunity to sign up for at least 1 time to take their class. But if there's availability, you can sign up and take your class more than once. We just use an appointment schedule through Google Calendar to sign up as a school. So if you did not see my previous vlog back in December, I don't blame you, okay? December was a crazy month, but go back and watch that one first. I will have the video linked for you in the description box, but I give you a behind the scenes look at all of the details of the transformation room. And I also share what I did for the science lesson. It was super easy. It required almost no prep. I essentially just did a digital escape room with my students to review what we had been working on in science, which we had been talking about contact and non-contact forces, and we had just finished talking about like gravity. So I used my Escape the Ski Lodge digital escape room template to create a review, and it took 10 minutes to set up. I just linked different articles and videos that my students read. They answered some questions in order to escape the ski lodge. But because those digital escape room templates are already formatted for you, all of the details, all of the pictures and the GIFs, all of that is ready to go. You just have to input your own questions. So all the details are in that previous vlog. Also, if you are interested in the Escape the Ski Lodge digital escape room template, I will have that linked for you down below. But as I mentioned, today we are going back for math, and I planned a math lesson. We are currently working on adding and subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. We actually just started this skill on Friday of last week, but my students were doing a great job with it. So I think today's lesson will go pretty well, fingers crossed. And it's simple, but yet fun and interactive. So let me go ahead and show you the different elements. So these are all the materials. It may look like a lot, but I promise it's super, super simple. And some of these are things that you may already have on hand or could easily get your hands on. First, I'm gonna give my students their notes on adding mixed numbers as well as subtracting mixed numbers. These are part of my upper elementary math anchor charts and note sheets. These are Google Slides. From there, I actually share them with my students digitally on Google Classroom, but I also print them out 2 to a page, so they're a half sheet for my students to glue into their composition books, which are where we keep all of our notes. And these are editable. So if you're interested in pre-made like anchor charts or notes that cover all of the upper elementary math skills, I will link these for you in the description box. I also will print them like 8.5 by 11 and display them on my back math board. And sometimes I will take the image and put them right onto my Google Slides that I use to teach my lesson. So I love how versatile they are, and it's just a great reference for my students to have. But moving on to the lesson for today for the transformation room. I called this Frosty Fractions. Maybe not my most creative name, but we're rolling with it. This is a printable. It's 2 pages. I will link this for you. It's a PDF. If you are interested and you want to try this out with your students, I'll have it for you as a freebie down in the description box. The first activity I called Fishing for Fractions. So students have these different equations where they are adding or subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. So they're gonna solve it. Once they solve it, they're gonna go fishing for the answer. So on all of these fish, I have different fractions, and I just printed the fish on cardstock. I laminated them, I cut them out, and then I placed a paper clip on it in order to make it magnetic, because in the transformation room, we have these little fishing poles that have magnetic ends. So basically, students will just lift the fishing pole and then they will pick up the fish that matches their answer. And it's a great way for them to check their work, because if they don't find a fish with the answer, then they need to go back and relook at the strategy that they used. So the fish are included with the printables that I am linking down below, but the fishing poles, these do not belong to me. These were brought in by someone who set up the transformation room. However, I will link a very similar set on Amazon. You can get them for pretty affordable. The next activity I called snowball number bonds. We have been practicing using number bonds to break apart fractions, whether they're improper fractions, mixed numbers, into parts. So for example, taking 1 3/4 and being able to break it down into 1 whole and 3/4. Or for example, 7/4 could be 4/4 and 3/4. Now this is a fairly open-ended activity. I just printed out different fractions and I have some mixed numbers in there. Students are gonna have a snowball fight.
In the end, the greatest snowball isn't a snowball at all.
So this is a teacher favorite because all you need are pieces of paper. Students are gonna crumple these up into a ball, have a little snowball fight. I'll go over expectations. They're not aiming at anyone. They need to throw it gently, etc. Then they're gonna pick up one of the snowballs near them, open it up. Whatever fraction or mixed number they get, they're gonna use it to create a number bond. And the reason I said it's open-ended is because they may choose to have that be the whole, so it would be at the top of the number bond, or they could choose to have it be one of the parts and be at the bottom. And they're gonna fill in the rest of the number bond. So if they have it be the whole, they could break it apart in different ways. For example, 3/4 could be decomposed as 2/4 and 1/4. Or if they had 3/4 be one of the parts, the other part could be 1/4 and the whole would be 1. So they have a lot of different options. I did print out 2 sets of these, one for each of my classes, because if you've ever done a snowball fight, you know after a couple of, crinkling up into wall, throwing it, and then uncrinkling it, the papers get pretty sad looking. So we're gonna have a fresh start in the afternoon with my other class. Then flipping over to the back, there are a total of 4 activities. The next one I'm calling Pass the Puck. I don't know about this one, y'all. It may be a total disaster, but the idea came to me and we're gonna try it. We have been using a number bond to add and subtract fractions and mixed numbers. I think I made these all, okay, 2 addition, 2 subtraction. So for Pass the Puck, they already have the fractions they are adding or subtracting. They are gonna solve it, but I also have a printable template with a number line as well. They're gonna use a dry erase marker. They're going to set up their number line, and then they're gonna use these little hockey stick pencils. Y'all, how cute are these? I got them on Amazon. They're gonna place the end of the hockey stick pencil at each of the fractions on the number line or mixed numbers, and then they're going to use the hockey stick pencils to pass the puck. This is just a Connect 4 piece. I went into my indoor recess game bin and pulled out some black Connect 4 pieces, but that's gonna be their hockey puck, and they're gonna use it to be able to hit it from one to the other to show those jumps. And of course, once they do it on the dry erase pocket, they will also show their work on the recording sheet. I don't know, like I said, it could be a disaster, but all of a sudden I thought about a number line, I thought about hockey sticks, and I'm like, there's gotta be mini hockey sticks on Amazon. And sure enough, they have these pencils. I didn't sharpen any of them because I don't want my students using the actual pencils. I want them just using the hockey stick part. These are erasers. So if you're interested in those, I will have them linked as well. And again, the pucks are just Connect 4 pieces. So if you have a Connect 4 game or like checkers, anything like that, you can use the pieces. And then the last one I called Snowflake Strip Diagrams. We are also working on representing the equations using strip diagrams. So students are gonna go around the room and find the different snowflakes. And I think I have a total of 6 or 8, I think it's 6 snowflakes, but they're gonna choose 4 of them. So they have some choice. If they come to 2 that are too hard, they can skip over them and just choose 4 different ones, but they're gonna draw a strip diagram in order to represent it. So nothing super fancy there, but these snowflakes are included with the PDF handout as well. And I just laminated them, and I'm gonna hang them around the room. So those are the 4 activities. As I mentioned, the recording sheet as well as the fish. the fractions and mixed numbers for the snowballs. This template and the snowflakes are all included in that freebie that I'm linking down in the description box. So now let's talk about some of the setup and organization. I made myself a list because whenever I have days like this that are a little bit different than our usual routine, I'm always worried I'm gonna forget something. First of all, for this transformation room setup, there is no screen in the room. So we call it the IFP, or interactive flat panel. The last escape room that we did, which was an under the sea theme, if you have not seen that one, go back and watch it because it is incredible, just like this one. But we had the screen in the room, so I was able to project slides with directions. Because the current setup does not have a screen in there, it actually made my life easier because it forced me to not create any slides to go with the activities since I won't have the availability to show them. As a result, I plan to go over directions with my students here in the classroom before we head to the transformation room. That way, when we get to the transformation room, my students already know exactly what they need to do. They also will already know their groups because there are 4 different activities. I'm gonna place my students into 4 groups. I'm just gonna randomize it. I use Flippity.
That's you on the flippity flip.
Flippity is a website. They have a ton of free digital templates you can use to create games and different activities, but they have a random name picker. And I set this up at the beginning of the year and use it all year long. I have one for each of my classes. Once you input your student roster, you have a wheel that will randomly select a student. But you also can put your students into groups, and you can do it based on the number of groups or the number of students you want in each group. So if you want groups of 3 or groups of 4, you can do that. Or you can click and say, hey, I want 4 groups, and it will place your students into groups. From there, you can shuffle it. You can also click on student names to swap them around. Y'all, I love Flippity. Like, it's a free tool and it's just fantastic. It makes your life so much easier. So if you have never tried it out, I will link it for you down below. But I'm gonna use that in order to put them into groups. I'm also gonna have them bring clipboards. So I have a set of clipboards for my class in my classroom. As I hand out their recording sheet, I will make sure that they bring their own pencils and they have a clipboard because there are tables in the transformation room, but some of the activities like the fishing, they're gonna be doing just kind of around the room, and I wanna make sure they have a flat surface to write on. I also am personally going to be bringing some extra pencils in case the student's pencil breaks or they lose it. Does anyone else feel like their students will have a pencil in their hand, 10 seconds later, the pencil is gone, with no trace of it whatsoever, and the student's like, I don't know what happened to it? Because I feel like that happens to me multiple times a day. But I'm gonna bring some extra pencils as well as dry erase markers for the Pass the Puck activity. Each student will have a dry erase pocket with the template in it, but rather than them bringing their own dry erase markers, since they only need it for this activity, I'm just gonna bring a set so that they have them and some little erasers for that. I need to put the fish into the pond. That will only take a few seconds. I need to hang up the snowflakes around the room. I'm just gonna tape them in kind of random spots. And then I need to bring the hockey pencils, which I will probably grab a cup or something. You know what? I have this math cup that a student gave me for the holidays. It says, a day without math is like, just kidding, I have no idea. So I will put hockey pencils in here, perfect. And I'll put the little pucks in there too. Done, okay. That's all that I have on my list for setting up. So even though this may seem like a lot, I promise it's very simple. I'm gonna bring the stack of paper with me, but the first set of students who starts at this activity will just crumple up the papers. And I think when I assign their groups, I will tell them like, all right, group 1, you're starting at fishing for fractions. Group 2, you're starting at snowball number bonds. Group 3, you're starting at pass the puck. Group 4, you are starting at snowflake strip diagrams, and then they're just gonna rotate in the order that's on the sheet. So if they start at fishing for fractions, they're gonna then go to the snowball number bonds. If they start at snowball number bonds, they're gonna go to pass the puck. Pass the puck will go to the snowflake strip diagrams. Snowflake strip diagrams will go to fishing for fractions. That way, keeps it super simple. And I'm probably forgetting something. Like when I check in with you later this afternoon, I'll probably be like, yeah, I forgot to think through this element, but that's the name of the game, right? Like, live and learn. I think I've thought through everything, but we shall see. Now, I know how incredibly lucky and privileged I am to have the opportunity to create experiences like this for my students because we have amazing volunteers who come in and transform the space and set up the transformation room. However, even at previous schools when we did not have this, I would create mini classroom transformations. They were not nearly as extravagant, and that's okay, but simple little changes can be enough to create that experience for your students. So I wanted to share just a few ideas if you do want to do some kind of a winter classroom transformation, ways that you can make it that much more engaging without spending a ton of money or without spending a lot of time trying to set everything up. For example, for this winter transformation, things like a simple white tablecloth or even white butcher paper is enough to transform the space and make it look snowy. But if you want to go the extra mile and you do want to invest some money, I like this because it can be used for other things. This is essentially like a star projector. So when you turn it on, you will notice the light, and up at the ceiling, it will project like stars, and it almost looks like the aurora borealis. And then you can even go through the different moon phases. So there is a little like piece here on the side, and as you turn it, it will change the moon that is displayed. So when we get to moon phases in science, I will be able to use this for that. Plus, it even almost looks like ocean waves. So this could double for like an ocean type of transformation room. And it also works as a speaker. So I will link this for you down in the description box. It's not super pricey, but it could be a fun thing to add to your classroom that you can use, has multiple purposes, and it just makes it that much more exciting and engaging. Plus, it can be as simple as telling your students to wear warm, cozy clothes or bring their ski jackets and gloves and mittens and all of those things just to make it that much more engaging. Very on theme with the Winter Wonderland Transformation Room, I have been freezing all day. I was wearing my winter coat up until about 2 minutes ago because I don't want to look like the Michelin Man when I'm recording this.
Michelin Man called, he wants his cummerbund back.
Winter Wonderland Transformation Room was a big hit. My students were, again, just so appreciative. We get back to the classroom, they were thanking me for giving them such a fun day. And I was like, oh, you are so welcome. But I really enjoyed it. A few takeaways. Before we left the classroom, I gave directions. I used Flippity to choose their groups. I then just took a picture of the screen with my phone so that I had their groups so I could reference it once we got to the room. I'm very happy I brought extra pencils because sure enough, 5 minutes after we get in the transformation room, Mrs. Emerson, my pencil broke. Yep, called it. So I use these little caddies, which I got these from Walmart. I use them a lot in science to hand out materials to groups, but I also used it to carry the markers, erasers, and pencils to the transformation room. I love things that are multi-purpose and can be reused. In terms of how the actual rotations went in the activities, I wish for the number bond snowballs that I had a new sheet for each group rather than just one for each class, because after, 4 groups crumple them up into snowballs several times and then uncrumple them, they get pretty raggedy. And I felt bad for the last group because they're like, I can't even read this because it was all torn up. We made do, it was fine, but part of the reflection process of teaching is being able to go, okay, what would I do different the next time? So next time I would print a separate set of snowballs for each group, and you could even easily differentiate. You could have different levels of the snowballs for each different group, depending on their skill levels. I also had students who were accidentally picking up the same snowball more than once, and they would end up with the same fraction or mixed number. So because they got to choose where it went in the number bond, I just told them to create a different number bond. So maybe the first time they had that mixed number as the whole, this time it could be one of the parts. Or they could leave it as the whole, but decompose the mixed number or the improper fraction or the fraction in a different way. So that was just a quick way to be able, on the fly, when I realized, oh, they're picking up the same snowballs, that was my solution. I made notes, by the way. I love after lessons to take notes on what I would do differently. Some groups finished faster. So for example, the snowflakes, that group finished first pretty much every single time. Now in hindsight, rather than just giving them the expression or equation, I should have had them be word problems. That would have been a simple fix. Or instead of having them only choose 4, I could have had them do all 6. Or I could have had an early finisher option for all of the students. Now, once they started going with the rotations, I told them if they didn't finish one, they could go back to it. But again, there were still some students who were done and I should have had an extra activity planned for them. But again, live and learn. It was fun. My students, they just crack me up. Some of the things that they say, one of the students was using the fishing poles and they caught their fraction. They were like, yay, dinner. So overall, this did not take super long to plan. On Friday, before I left school, I realized, oh yeah, I'm going to the transformation room Monday. I need to plan a math lesson. And I limited myself to an hour. I said, I'm gonna spend no more than 1 hour planning this out, getting the materials ready, and I did it. And that included like brainstorming the activities, which I feel like my brain is always thinking about those things, but I just started trying to think about ways that I could incorporate the fractions and the mixed numbers. The snowball fight was the first thing I thought of. Then I thought about the fishing because I knew the fishing poles were in there and I was like, that's easy. Just print out some fish with fractions, put a paper clip on it, you're good to go. And then the snowflakes, that was my last one. That was my throw-in when I couldn't come up with anything better. The hockey pucks, again, it was just this idea of, ooh, a number line, making those jumps, and I had the entire thing planned out. I had the fish and like the snowballs and the templates and things ready on my computer. I did print them out once I got home. So I think total I spent about an hour and a half from start to finish to plan out that lesson, which depending on how you plan, that may sound like a lot or it may not sound like a lot. But I think for a day when it's more engaging, hands-on, prepping everything from scratch, an hour and a half is really not bad. And now I have it for next year. The transformation room will not be the same theme, but I can easily recreate this in my own classroom using the white tablecloths, using the star projector, by just kind of playing some ambiance music in the background and, you know, turning the lights off, those types of little things. Plus, y'all now get it from me for free, ready to go as well. So that time I think was well spent. But if you enjoyed this vlog, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you do not miss any future videos. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to put your positive pants on, and I will catch you in the next one.